The Isiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to this very special edition of The Factor Uncensored. We're in Houston's historic 3rd Ward, where the Queen herself, Beyonce, is on display at Grooves. Now, we had a chance to talk to some of her biggest fans. They're part of the Beehive. They're in town for the concert at NRG this weekend, June 28th and 29th, and we will talk to them a little bit later in the show. But first up, top news, the U.S. Supreme Court made several important rulings, from Obamacare to birthright to porn. We gathered a panel together today, so right now, let's talk about it. Well, the gang is all here after some crucial rulings from the United States Supreme Court that will affect the Trump administration. First on the list, birthrights. What many people call anchor babies here, individuals who come from another country, have their children here, and those children automatically become U.S. citizens. What did the Supreme Court decide on that, Dr. von Bietenfeld?
Well, essentially, they kicked the can down the road. So the Supreme Court reserved their ruling, but did not say that the president could not restrict these rights. So this is a win for the Trump administration, but it's not a statement on any amendments post-Civil War that restrict or empower individuals to have children on U.S. soil and have those automatically become citizens.
All right, Angela, when you hear this ruling from the United States Supreme Court, your thoughts about it?
Well, it's a good ruling, and it's part of a larger umbrella ruling on the nationwide injunctions that these leftist judges have been imposing on us. And Pam Bondi rightfully pointed out that out of the 35 out of 40 of these nationwide injunctions came from 5 district courts, 5 out of 95. So these left-wing judges have been holding us hostage ever since Trump was inaugurated January 20th of this year. And that ended today. Now, with regards to the birthright citizenship, I think it's very clear in the Constitution, and Trump said it brilliantly today. The 14th Amendment was for the children of slaves. That's it. It doesn't mean if you come from El Salvador, you get to come in and pop out a kid, and then that kid gets to go to public school, and you get welfare and WIC and food stamps and all the rest. That is going to be over, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very excited about it.
All right, Cesar Espinosa from Fiel, who quite often you take up immigrant rights. That is your job, and you do that here in the community and around the country. Your thoughts about this ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people are applauding it now, but if the next president comes and wants to ban assault rifles, then people like Angela are going to be literally up in arms. They're going to say, we don't want this. So once again, when politics is convenient for these folks, it's also important to point out that some of these judges that are working against Trump are actually Republican appointees. So now all of a sudden, when it's not convenient for Trump and for his followers, all of a sudden they're very happy about it. But when they reap what they are sowing right now, then they're going to say, oh, well, we have to bring it back and all those things. So right now it's convenient, but later on it might not be so convenient for everybody. So we got to be really careful where this is going and where the Supreme Court is taking this country.
All right, Steve, Representative Ron Reynolds, are you concerned about where this is going?
Absolutely, I'm concerned, Isaiah. This was a 6-3 decision with all 6 of these very conservative justices ruling in favor of basically Trump, saying that in essence that these federal courts cannot have an injunction even when there is something being done unconstitutional by the Trump administration. So this is an affront to our Constitution. It empowers Trump and his authoritarian MAGA extremists to basically do whatever they want to without any real checks and balances. So I'm very disappointed. I was in favor of what the 3 liberal judges said, that they said that this was certainly a dark day and an affront to our Constitution. Birthright citizenship is a century old. This should be well-settled law, and President Trump doesn't like it, and he's trying to overturn it with unilateral, not from the Constitution, but from his own executive order. And I think that is an affront to our nation's long-standing history.
And Eugene, your thoughts when Angela says this was originally designed for those who came to this country as slaves, not the current crop of individuals or immigrants who come here?
Well, thank you, Angela. For
without citizenship.
Yes, well, thank you, first of all, Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Angela, for acknowledging the truth that the original sin of this country is still slavery, that we still have not been made whole from. And so my two thoughts are just, hey, everybody out there, elections have consequences. So when you have a leader that interprets the Constitution how they want to interpret it, you have moments like this. Yes, is it a dark day in America? Of course it is, but there have been many dark days in this history, in this nation's history. But you know, the sun does come up again. And then, secondly, I can't wait till a Democrat gets back in office. So when last time I checked, Joe Biden tried to give student loan relief, and it was a district judge that stopped that. So just like my friend said earlier, I can't wait till some of the Democrats start doing policies, whether it is assault or ban rifles, or they start saying, if you want to ban abortion, we're going to stop your federal funding. So we want to see when the shoe's on the other foot, how a hit dog would holler.
All right.
I gotta respond to this.
Really quick. You got 10 seconds, and then we'll come back after
I'll hold it.
Okay, all right. We'll be back with more Factor Uncensored with our panel here tonight, talking about the latest rulings from the U.S. Supreme Court and how it could impact you in your home and your community. Stay with us here on the Factor Uncensored. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. Our guests are here talking about the recent rulings involving the U.S. Supreme Court. Angela, wrap us up on birthright, and I have one more question for Dr. Von Biedenfeld on this topic.
Well, the injunctions of the left-wing judges that have been going on since Trump became inaugurated, he's had more injunctions on him than every single president in the last century combined. Okay, excuse me. What this ruling did today is rein in that liberal leftist judiciary, because the president of the United States and the executive branch have the right to do these things. And not to mention the things you're talking about, like banning assault rifles or forgiving student loan debts. Both of those are completely unconstitutional. So good luck.
So is denying birthright
doing away with the 14th Amendment.
Thank you. That's also in the Constitution. So don't pick and choose.
Yeah, and it's for the children of slaves, not illegal aliens.
Hypocrisy is on steroids.
And thank you, Representative.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I applaud what Eugene is saying, that once a Democrat is back in office, more executive.
We already saw what that was for the last 4 years.
Hey, well, we're going to see it again. I can't wait.
All right, and Dr. Von Biedenfeld,
okay,
the point that Eugene makes here, if there is a president who comes in who happens to be Democrat next, can he just reverse all of this? I think birthright citizenship was done under executive order. Can the next president come in and say, look, I'm done with that. We go back to the old way, just following the Constitution?
Unfortunately, not. But at the end of the day, some of these things that are done, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, unfortunately, it's not that simple, because much of this is in the purview of Congress. But we've seen an absentee Article 1 during this administration. The Article 2 powers have been expanded greatly. But at the end of the day, I do have to agree with Angela that many of these original textualist understandings of Justice Thomas and others, like the Second Amendment or the Fourth Amendment, are slightly different in their interpretation than the birthright citizenship. This is going to make it a lot more expensive for anybody to say blanketly student loan relief across the country, for example, or banning weapons. It's going to increase the likelihood of piecemeal litigation, which is going to be expensive for individuals. And while you might see relief in Texas or Arkansas or Virginia, that doesn't necessarily equate to relief in Massachusetts or California. So it's a little bit more complex. Arguably, Dr. Brandon's point that he's raised before on the show, I know he's not here, is that some of these disputes should be in the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and that would eliminate a lot of this ambiguity. But because that was not the ruling today, it's not going to be quite that simple.
All right. And Dr. Von Biedenfeld, next on the list of issues, we're talking about porn here in Texas, where the legislature passed a law that says you have to register or you have to have ID if you get onto websites to keep kids away from adult sites. Explain what the court ruled and what the actual law is here in Texas.
And this is another complex area, and at the end of the day, the court is looking at what the state's rights are to restrict access to what might otherwise be considered First Amendment protections for expression or access to these things. And this goes all the way back to the obscenity. So it's pretty direct, but at the end of the day, I don't think the issue is resolved, particularly in light of this other birthright, citizenship, or federal court jurisdiction concern. So I think courts are going to be generally going to be permissive of certain state allowances, but in this case, or in the case of the Tennessee law on children receiving gender-affirming care, the courts are really concerned about those behaviors.
All right, guys, when it comes to the Supreme Court ruling on porn here in Texas, and obviously it could impact the entire country, your thoughts about that? State Representative Ron Reynolds, you were there where it was debated and became law.
Well, Isaiah, as a parent of minors, I think that this is a good ruling. I mean, I know that people feel like it's an infringement upon their rights, but I think that
in the simplest forms, break it down how the law reads.
But the law reads now that a person has to provide proof of age in order to enter a porn site. Whereas before, you didn't have to have proof. You could just say, hey, I'm 18 years of age, I'm 21 years of age, and there was no actual checks on it. Now you have to verify that. The porn sites were saying this is overreach, and the Supreme Court said, no, it's not. That Texas is allowed to be able to create laws to protect minors from entering pornographic websites. So
okay, and Representative Reynolds we're going to take a quick break, come back and let you pick us up. We'll be back with more Factor Uncensored with our panel. We're talking about the U.S. Supreme Court rulings. Stay with us here on The Factor. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Our panel is here tonight. We're talking about the latest rulings from the United States Supreme Court, and they took up a case that began here, a law that began here in the state of Texas, banning young people, not essentially banning, but requiring ID for porn sites. Representative Reynolds, pick us back up. You're saying this is a good thing. This protects children.
Absolutely, Isaiah. I mean, we've seen with internet, through social media, many youngsters having access to pornographic sites. We believe as parents and as adults that they're not mature enough, and that we should have restrictions so that these minors aren't able to go to porn adult sites where they're seeing all kind of things through their electronic phone devices, and parents weren't able to monitor it. So this is a good, strong ruling. I'm very proud the Supreme Court affirmed the Texas law that we passed. The porn industry may be losing a few dollars, but we're certainly saving our youngsters from being exposed to pornography at an early age.
All right, Angela Box, let me find out you disagree with this.
Not at all. Pornography, the People versus Larry Flint era, pornography has been such a blight on this generation, Gen Z, millennials. They've become desensitized to actual human relationships and real sexuality with a partner that you care for at the very least. And Representative Reynolds is 100% correct. I'm proud that I'm proud that he
put this down on history.
There's a few things. I'm proud that Texas spoke with one voice on this. It's common sense, and the only people upset are the ultra radical left. So it's a good day for that.
And Cesar, you brought your kids here to hang out at the show to see the set. I'm sure you're glad that this is in place, or are you?
I mean, I'm glad that at the end of the day, there's thought being put into keeping kids from watching explicit material. The sad reality that we live in, though, or the current reality that we live in, is kids are going to find a way around this. I mean, schools issue laptops with that are supposed to keep kids from accessing these sites, and we hear all the time that kids are accessing these things. So at the end of the day, it's a good move, but I don't think it's quite where it needs to be in terms of technology and in terms of kids finding out ways around it. And we've seen it all. And then also, it doesn't ban sites like Twitter or TikTok, where some of this explicit material now currently lives, or even some of the children's games. Roblox recently was found that they were distributing porn through a children's game. And so my son definitely doesn't have access to that, but I don't think all the parents are as engaged as I am to be going on their kids' phones almost every single day.
And Eugene, I'm sure you agree as well. Let's get to this last topic because we're running out of time, guys. When it comes to Obamacare and that issue, Dr. Von Biedenfeld, really quick, explain what the court decided.
Right. At the end of the day, they affirmed key provisions of the Affordable Care Act. So 150 million Americans will still have that. This, again, is a 6-3 decision.
All right. And Angela, you think that's good or bad?
You know, I'm all for the free market, and I think that Kennedy and Dr. Oz are working on some things that are going to be revolutionary in their simplicity. But I just have to say, in closing, I got a slow clap for MAGA, man. That we started off the week with leftists even on this show losing their damn minds, thinking we were going to go to World War III with Iran, to like 20 hours later them begging for a deal, and now the left is melting over the Supreme Court decisions. I mean,
are all you guys melting in here?
Listen, I don't think anyone's melting. Hey, man, take your victory
lap. Have you seen
lap.
CNN or MSNBC?
Hey, listen,
they're melting.
Listen. Take your victory lap now, because we know these are going to be short-lived. So look, man, I'm not going to sit there. You have a 6-3 majority. You better hope that they never expand the court. You better hope the Democrats don't get the House and the Senate back. But keep on doing what you're doing, because you're just motivated. Don't forget
Making
that
America great again.
million people take the streets 2 weeks ago with a no king. So
all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll come back and let people know where they can find you. Stay with us here on The Factor Uncensored. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We're wrapping up our panel on the rulings from the U.S. Supreme Court this week. And we want to give the guys a chance to let you know where you can find them on social media, or if they have a podcast or some little show or something, another going on, nothing like The Factor. But anyway, let's begin with you, Angela. Where can they find you on social media?
Saturday mornings, 1070 KNTH, The Angela Box Show. Everything Angela Box Show is at Angela Box Show. That's on all platforms.
All right, Eugene Howard, where can we find you?
On IG, you can find me, Visionary Howard. On TikTok, Visionary Howard 247. Eugene Howard on Facebook, Twitter, Visionary Howard.
All right, and Representative Reynolds?
I'm on Instagram at Ron E. Reynolds. I'm on Facebook at Ron Reynolds, and I'm on X at Ron Reynolds. So look me up.
And Cesar?
All of our hashtags on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is at PL Houston.
All right. And Dr. Von Biedenfeld, can we find you in education heaven with all the knowledge?
If I'm not at 2000 Lyons Avenue, you can probably find me in the classroom at UHD or at 3100. So
you're going to get a stalker.